Great. Thank you, Elisa. And thanks for the opportunity to present on behalf of our working group. Shane, Elipo, and myself, we are the co-chairs of this working group. It's been extended for a couple of years due to COVID-related delays. I'll present on our updates, and then the most recent update was we had a summer school, so I'll present about our summer school as well today. In terms of the vision and objectives of the working group, these were the three objectives we had: to develop strategies and identify best practices for improving the understanding, derivation, communication, and utilization of uncertainties in ocean observing and modeling; to make resources on UQ freely available to the ocean observing and modeling communities; and to instigate a cultural change in ocean observing and modeling UQ. The major tasks that we had proposed was to develop a community-driven web platform for UQ knowledge and strategies, produce peer-reviewed open access articles on UQ for observational and model ocean data, and to organize a summer school and or workshop on UQ. So we have completed all three. The second one, I'll talk briefly about this, but there have been a lot of community-driven open access articles on UQ, so we didn't lead a charge on that. We have published as well as a working group, but that's the update on that. In terms of the team that's part of this working group, we have a mix of oceanographers, in-situ satellite observationalists, modelers, data assimilationists, as well as we have data scientists and statisticians, and one science philosopher, Wendy Parker. We have support from NASA, NOAA, NSF, and DOE for this working group. So we have a publication in EOS led by Shane, co-authored by Kyla Drushka, who used to be a co-chair of the working group. She stepped down due to personal reasons. Myself and Mike Patterson. This was published in 2022. These were the key points from the op-ed publication. Uncertainty completes the data. So we need uncertainty whenever data is being provided, observations, models, or reanalysis. Specific challenges of ocean data are exacerbated by obstacles in communicating uncertainty. We identified certain gaps in guidance that's issued specifically for UQ. And we have proposed some community-driven solutions that are also emerging currently. There are a few opportunities on the horizon that have been listed in the manuscript, and we advocate for UQ in proposing, planning, and implementing of all ocean-related studies. We have a website. Previously, it was hosted on GitHub. It's transitioned to the UCAR server with the Consortium for Ocean Leadership. This will hopefully ensure continuity beyond the working group's lifetime. The framework and initial content are in place. We have added more content recently. There was a soft release of this website in mid-2021, and we are currently working to add more content, which I'll talk about later on in this talk. So we have a blog section in the on this website where we have blog posts written by members of the working group, as well as invited community members. We have a collection of informal but informative pieces describing ocean UQ concepts and techniques. And the target audience for these blogs are oceanographers, from like a first-year grad student to professionals. So we are happy to add more blog posts on this website. The working group will discontinue after this. Our tenure will end after this year, but if there are any community members who are interested in blogging, we could contact the web host to add this. We also have example code on the website, code that has been previously used for UQ in ocean studies. This is a place to share scripts and code for UQ techniques. We'll be adding some more code in the coming weeks related to our summer school, which I'll talk about at the end of this talk. These codes complement the blog as well. So if there's a blog that gives an example, we have code that goes along with that. We also have a glossary on the website, which defines a lot of different terms related to uncertainty. A major goal of this working group was to help the ocean community to use consistent language, because prior to this working group, we realized there were different words being used both within the ocean community, but also across ocean and statistician community. So we tried to form this glossary to have like a common language. Many terms originate from the international vocabulary of metrology, basic and general concepts and associated terms, which is published by the Joint Committee for Guides in Metrology. So Wendy Parker, who's a philosopher on the working group, helped us a lot with defining terms, having common language. And then our next step as of last year was to organize a summer school. This was successfully completed this year. We plan to host a summer school in July 2024 in Miami, bring together expertise from in-situ satellite and modeling communities to foster intra and inter-community dialogue, to build consensus on understanding, identify gaps, and recommend actions to address them. We had planned to host 15 to 20 grad students, but I'll present in the next few slides that we had a lot more applications, so we increased these numbers. So we had pedagogical lectures, which I'll talk about, as well as hands-on exercises. So now I'll present briefly about the summer school, which was the most recent activity and the biggest undertaking of this working group, I would say. We hosted this a couple of weeks ago, July 15th to 19th, in Virginia Key in Miami. It was hosted at the University of Miami, and it's funded by NASA, NOAA, NSF, and DOE, as I mentioned before. We thank the sponsors for this. We had a lot of local support from the university, both for computational resources as well as rooms for breakout groups, as well as the lectures. This was the organizing group. Most of the working group members participated in formulating the plan for the summer school, the agenda for the summer school, and the lectures. And thanks a lot for the program organizing committee as well, Alisa and Mike. Without their help, this summer school would not have been successful. We also had a lot of help in travel arrangement from CPA ESS. We had overall 145 applications for the summer school, much more than expected. And we had applications from 30 different countries. Overall, we selected 27 students from the application pool. And we had a diverse group of students from different institutions, different countries, different backgrounds. So we were really happy with the total pool of applicants, as well as the selected students who joined the summer school. We had a full week of program. All days were from 9 to 5. We had lectures in the morning from the working group members on different topics, from concepts and philosophy to mathematical details of UQ, time series analysis, mapping, observations, modeling, data assimilation. So it's a wide range of topics, all focused on UQ related to ocean studies. We also had afternoon tutorials where students had hands-on activities, mostly done on Jupyter notebooks, where they went through exercises related to UQ on actual ocean data or example models. And they did further analysis beyond what we had provided to them. We had 3 guest science lectures through the week. Mohammad Iskandarani and Ben Kurtman, who are professors at the university, and Chris Lancey, who's a NOAA scientist who talked about hurricane forecasts and uncertainty related to that. Mohammad Iskandarani spoke about uncertainty related to ocean data and modeling, and Ben Kurtman spoke about subseasonal to seasonal prediction and how uncertainty plays a role in that. Yeah, I would say the students had a lot of fun, a lot of work as well. The mornings were filled with lectures. In the afternoons, they all worked in small groups of 3 students each. They had hands-on activities and they worked with the lecturers in terms of understanding the tutorials and then doing more than what was provided. On the Friday morning, we had all the groups present. So we had groups of 3 presenting about the 3 different tutorials they did through the week. It was great to hear how they what all they learned in that week, and then how much additional analysis they did beyond what was provided. We did a survey after the school. Overall, I would say all students were very satisfied or satisfied. These are 4 different questions from the survey. We had a lot more questions and we are compiling all the results currently. So in terms of how satisfied they were with the overall academic content of the summer school, 66%, 2/3 of the students said very satisfied, 30% said satisfied, and 1 student said neutral. Count the rate of the quality of the formal morning lectures, 85% said excellent, 15% said good. The effectiveness of the hands-on afternoon activities as well, 60% said excellent, 37% said good, and 1 student said average. And then how helpful were the provided materials, slides, notes? Again, 74% said very helpful and 22% said helpful. So overall, I think it went really well. Students said we should organize more of these on topics from working groups of US CLIVAR and otherwise as well. They were really happy, both about the scientific content as well as, I think, the social aspect of meeting students from other universities, forming a cohort. So we were really satisfied with the outcome from the summer school. In terms of continuity, the lectures were recorded, so we'll be hosting them on the Ocean UQ website. We'll continue to keep and grow the collaborations that were built during that week. The students will keep in touch with the lecturers about future opportunities as well. And then, we are welcome to other ideas of continuing the discussion beyond the working group, because this is our final year of the working group. If there are other ideas of continuing this, we would welcome that. With that, I'll end the talk here. Thank you. And I'll welcome any questions any of you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Anish. All right.
Thanks.
If you have a question, I see Arena, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I was curious, since you had the students and if you can if you can talk to us a little bit about the practical exercises and the Python notebooks, what
Sure.
worked and what did not work. I teach at the Penn Climate and Big Data class, and I'm looking for ideas and thoughts, and especially what did not work. And was
Yeah.
this done remotely, and where was it hosted, and questions like that? I'd be curious if you can, a few more details.
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk about that. So in terms of the activities themselves, the three activities that we had were on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the summer school, and they were all related to the lectures that were given in the morning. So for instance, the Tuesday lectures were on like time series analysis and UQ related to that by Adam and Shane. And they had like an example of global drifters and mapping and related UQ. So they had a Jupyter notebook. It was hosted on the University of Miami, HPC, like the high performance computing. They had a Jupyter hub there. I think it's called the Frost Institute for Data Science. And luckily, the network worked, everything worked, and all the student groups were able to log into the Jupyter hub and run the Jupyter notebook of the Jupyter hub there. As a backup, we had also prepared like a Docker image, which is where the Jupyter environment as well as the notebook was prepared as a Docker image. And then the students had to install like Docker on their laptops. We tested it on the Mac and Linux machines. Both of those, it worked really well. We were not able to test it on Windows. I think previously some of our working group members have worked with Docker on Windows as well. So that was a good backup option where if like the network went down or if the Jupyter hub went down, the students could install the Docker image on their own laptops, and then they could run the Jupyter notebook on their own laptops because the Docker image would run the Jupyter environment within this Docker setup. So that was our backup option, but luckily we didn't have to do that. We tested it before the summer school for all 3 afternoon tutorials. So I would recommend trying that if as a backup option for your class as well. Yeah, and then the Wednesday tutorial was on mapping ocean data, mapping Argo ocean data with a new method that was developed by Mikhail and Donata, where it not only mapped the Argo profiles, but it also provided uncertainty. And then the Thursday was provided by Sarah Williamson, who's a student of Patrick Heimbach and myself. So we had like a Jupyter notebook that was related to data assimilation, Kalman filtering. And the students basically went through that notebook, learned how to set up a Kalman filter for a nonlinear dynamical system. And they played with different sources of uncertainty in terms of model error versus observation error and how that impacted data assimilation. Yeah, I'm happy to share other details as well. We'll be hosting all the notebooks on the Ocean UQ website. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Super, thank you.
Thanks. Mike, do you have a question? Hands raised, yeah. You're on mute, Mike. I can't.
Sorry about that. A question, then I have a comment about the future too, what can be done. So in terms of the students themselves and the feedback that you got through the surveys and the discussion there the last day on wrap up, did you get a sense of how the students from the start of the week to the end of the week are going to approach their research that they're involved in differently as a result of the gained understanding on quantifying uncertainty and the importance of it in their own work?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a lot of that came out on like Friday morning, where the students presented their projects, and almost all of them said they learned about UQ. There was a lot of mathematical detail in some of the lectures, so they had to go back home and go through those lectures again to understand some of the details of mathematical methodology of UQ. But they all said now they have a new perspective. They would like to include UQ in their research, in their thesis research. And then they would also reach out to some of us lecturers who are doing related work. So that was a great outcome, I think. There were a lot of students who expressed that to us, both during their presentation, but also during coffee breaks and conversations on the side.
Just another quick follow-up. While this particularly focused on early career or students, actually graduate students or within a year of their graduate program, is it your sense that downstream that this kind of training or attention to uncertainty quantification across our field, right, of study could be valuable, so that such training sessions might benefit people at a more advanced career stage?
I think definitely yes. Like there were comments even from like Amy Braverman, for instance, where like there are like NASA data sets that don't have UQ currently associated with them, and it would be useful to have them, or some of the data sets have UQ, but the methodology is not updated in terms of having more accurate UQ, where there are more newer methods to quantify uncertainty more accurately. So, for instance, like some of the scientists who are preparing those data sets that are used by the community, some workshop or I don't know if summer school is an appropriate term for it, but some hackathon or some event like this where there are statisticians or people who develop methodologies present on them on why they are a better method to quantify uncertainty and how to use them would be really useful, I think, even for people in advanced stage of their career.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Right,
Jimbo?
yeah, Jimbo, you got it.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome. Thank you, Anish. This is wonderful. I'm just wondering, there are a lot of success, of course, but from my point of view, we are starting a new working group. I'm just wondering, what is the challenge have you met during this process?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jimbo. I mean, through the whole working group, I think one of the biggest challenges for us was COVID, I would say, which is unique. We started before COVID. Like the idea for this working group essentially started from the POS panel in US CLIVAR. Shane, Kyla, and myself, we all were co-chairs of POS panel through different years. And we hosted a session at the Ocean Ops 19 about Ocean UQ. And given the response to that session in Ocean Ops, there was a lot of community interest in this. And we also figured out that it was not only the ocean expertise, but we needed expertise from like statisticians. Philosophy was something new to us, but we thought that would also be really useful. So we put together this working group with 16, I think we started with 18 members, 12 active members and 6 additional members. But over COVID, like people got really busy and like it was hard to manage the activity of the working group. We still kept our activity going, but at a slower pace. And some of our working group members had to drop off because they had too much commitment, both personally, but also work-wise during that time. So I would say we lost probably 1/3 of our working group over the years. So that was one big challenge where people, time was hard to get. Yeah, otherwise, some of the challenges which we have overcome are like keeping the enthusiasm in the working group going. with engagement externally, right? Like we were initially ambitious in terms of like the blog post and the code that we thought every month we would have a new blog post and a new code posted on the website. But again, because people were so busy, it was hard to get that. We got some blogs and some code online, but not as much as we intended. So that's something to keep in mind, I guess. Like, yeah, especially having some more senior scientists who are involved in leading a lot of different community activities. They're spread thin, so getting their time and feedback, it would be very useful and critical, but it's harder to do than more early career folks.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to comment that all the materials you left as a result of this working group will have a long-lasting effect in the community. These things will not go away, right? You basically assemble.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. So it looks like we have hit our time here. So any other questions might have to go offline, but thanks again, Anish, for this great presentation. And thanks everybody for showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Bye everyone. Have a good day.